Hello and welcome to the FasterFreedom Show. My name is Sam.
And I'm Lucas.
And Lucas, we have a bald, hairy, grill-wearing Puerto Rican with us today. What do you think about that?
I think we learned that Puerto Ricans are hairy.
Yes, I did not know that. Welcome, Brian Davila. How are you doing?
So excited to be on your guys' podcast. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I hope I don't embarrass anyone on here today, but thank you.
We'll just embarrass you, I think, more than anything, if you're okay with that. That's kind of my shtick, is if I know the guests well enough, I'll make fun of them. If I don't, I'll make fun of Lucas. But I got to kind of make fun of somebody to help kind of with my self-esteem, I think. Well, so if you're just joining, you missed our conversation earlier. We were talking about Brian has some fake teeth. They're not cheap, and he's bald, but he used to own a barbershop, but he didn't cut hair. And we talked about a lot, but we're going to kind of recap some of that as we go through this episode. Does that sound good, Lucas?
We sure will. We'll talk about some real estate along the way, too.
I guess we will a little bit. So what we're going to do now is talk about Brian's story and try to get some nuggets from his cool journey, because I didn't know this. I know you pretty well, Brian. I've been out to Vegas a couple of times, hung out with you, been on your podcast. I didn't know that you left high school freshman year and dropped out of high school. I think that's really cool that you did that, and we're working hard doing all that. So why don't you tell the people a little bit about where you're at now? Then we're gonna go back in the day. So start now, your businesses, the coaching program, your flipping, everything you're doing. Tell everybody what you're rocking with now.
So now I'm a full-time real estate investor. I flip and wholesale. I have a small rental portfolio. I have some Airbnbs. I also have partnered with Ryan Pineda on a company called Wealthy Investor. We've scaled that company to 7 figures a month. And what else? We throw big events. And that's about it.
That's a lot.
4 beautiful kids, a beautiful wife. I have 3 amazing cats and 2 amazing dogs. So
full house. And then you like to golf a little bit. Do you slice it like most amateur golfers like myself, or do you keep it pretty straight?
You know what? So I used to slice it, but then what I do now is I just swing 50%, and that keeps me on the fairways and in the rough. But if I swing full, it's going to be a slice. But
that makes sense. It's called discipline.
That's good. Yeah, we just go for it.
You don't swing super hard. You swing about 80%.
Yeah,
you swing,
I do.
But you hit it pretty far for an 80% swing.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because you're not very strong.
Well, that's what's the crazy thing about golf is you swing softer and it goes further.
Because to a certain degree, there's that point where it doesn't go further.
If you hit it right.
I usually hit it. If I hit it cleanly in the middle of the club, it's slicing 100%. Pretty close. If I make solid contact, that thing's banana to the right pretty far. It travels in the air 290 yards, but it travels a distance of 240.
And then you line up left to play your slice, and you hit one dead straight
as
into
a
the
freaking
trees.
arrow.
Yeah.
Yep, that happens. Anyways, so handicaps. Lucas is 8. I'm 13. What are you, Brian? What's your handicap?
I'm a solid 20
okay,
to 22. On a good day, I'm below, but I average 92 to 94 right now. I'm trying to get in the 80s before the year's over.
You're doing a lot of really amazing stuff now, having, partnered with Ryan, doing this really, really cool education business. I've been out to your guys' office before, on your podcast, on Ryan's podcast, went out to your guys' event, WealthCon. But let's go back a little bit now. So you were a young cat, had a lot more hair on top of your head. I would assume maybe the rest of your body didn't have as much hair on it when you were 15, 16 years old, but you left high school. Walk me through that. Was that so he dropped out of high school freshman year. Was that a decision that was easy? Was it hard? Were your parents supportive? That's just, I don't know if I know anybody that's dropped out freshman year. I know obviously people that decide to, but talk me through that. What was going on?
I'll rewind a little bit further back. I was born in Puerto Rico. All right. So I was blessed. I was lucky from the beginning. Right. So came out Puerto Rican, and then my mom and me moved to Las Vegas. Right.
Okay.
See, I can't even speak English correctly. So we moved to Vegas. And she had another kid. So I grew up with my mom and my little sister. My mom was a cocktail waitress. So grew up single parent, cocktail waitress, working 2 jobs. So growing up watching my mom kind of financially struggle, I didn't see the point of going to school. So around middle school, I started questioning everything. I was just like, what are we doing? Why are we learning X plus M equals Y? I just don't understand the purpose of this. And then once I got to high school, I was just like, okay, is this going to be another 4 years of just nothingness? So I just mentally checked out. I was just like, I'm not going to school anymore. I'm going to work. So I got like jobs when I was like 15 years old. I was like a 15-year-old with 2 jobs, and then doing other stuff on the side to make money. So I was like an entrepreneur of the streets, if you know what I mean.
That's called a prostitute, but keep going.
Yeah. So I was just hustling. And the high school dropout decision and most of the other decisions I've ever made is just based on just like money and do I see a future in what I'm doing? So at the time, I just didn't see a future in going to high school and learning all these pointless things. When I saw my mom financially struggling to take care of me and my sister, I felt like I had to start taking care of myself. So I went out and got some jobs and started making money when I was young.
Nice. So you're a teenager hustling, working these
Hustling.
jobs. What were some of these jobs that you can talk about?
Well, yeah, you did prostitute. We got one, drug dealer the
Yeah.
other. I know the other ones.
It's funny now because now as like a multi-millionaire, when I became a multi-millionaire in my 20s, you would think I used to work at it's funny to think I used to work at like Pizza Hut, Sonic Burger. I don't know if they have Sonic in Ohio or wherever you guys live.
Missouri. Get it right, Brian.
Oh, okay. I thought St. Louis was in Ohio. I'm sorry again. But I used to work at Sonic. I used to ride on the little skates and like serve burgers and get like $1 or 2 tip. I used to work at the movie theater. I just had a bunch of like dead end jobs until I got into real estate.
When did you start your barbershop then?
Yeah, so my barbershop was that, now my podcast is called Wealthy Investor because I've always wanted to invest. So I actually bought a barbershop. I didn't really like work there. I had a friend that was a barber that found like this guy that wanted to sell, and I lent him 15 grand to buy the barbershop, and the barbershop ended up failing. And that's actually what drove me to get into real estate because that business just completely failed. And I just had time to do something else.
Yeah, so the barbershop business failed. How old were you when you owned a barbershop?
I was like 24, 25.
Okay, I was going to say teenage barbershop owning. I'd say that percentage is pretty low of success.
Yeah, I used to work 2 to 3 jobs at a time. And I would literally I would work at Pizza Hut, go walk to the bus, get on the bus, take the city bus, 30 to 45 minutes, go work another job, get off of that job, go work another job, graveyard, get off of that job, take the city bus back 30 to 40 minutes home. And I did that for like years and years and years. Really until I got into real estate.
That's awesome. Were you just stacking money at that time, or were you trying to help your mom out, or because you're still living at home a little bit? And then when did you kind of go out on your own?
Yeah, so I actually moved out when I was like 18. So I was kind of living on my own and then helping my mom. Yeah, I think from like the day after I turned 18, I got my own apartment. Yeah, just that time because I think something that I got from the trauma of watching my mom financially struggle is I got really good at saving money. So I literally saved everything. I was like the type of person, I'm not even going to go buy a Gatorade and chips because I'm like, okay, well, if that costs me $6 and I'm getting paid $6 an hour, why am I going to waste an hour of my time on chips and Gatorade? So I got extremely frugal for like years and years and years. And that's how I was able to save up 15 grand. I think I got up to like saving 30 grand by the time I was like 21, just from working these like little jobs and saving all my money.
When did that shift from you being frugal to spending $30,000 on your teeth? When did that mindset shift for you?
Honestly, it was during COVID. So during COVID, my income grew. And then what started happening was like at the end of the year, if you don't spend money, like if you truly net $1 million, truly net, you will pay a ton of money in taxes. Of course, now I know about cost segregations and all these things, but at the time I was making a lot of money. And at the end of the year, I was paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. So I was just like, I might as well just start spending it. And then honestly, hanging around Ryan a lot, he spends a little bit. So I started just becoming a little bit more loose with my money.
I think that's good. Enjoy life. That's a big thing we're about, is being financially responsible, but might as well enjoy it while you can. If you got it, at least spend some of it. I like it. So sounds like getting into real estate was a big shift for you. It looks like you started out becoming an agent. Talk through a little bit of that. You did really well with that, kind of started a team, and then realized investing is probably the best way to make the quickest turn. So walk me through your kind of real estate startup.
Yeah. So real estate, I was sitting in my barbershop it was literally failing. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced a failing business, but it just feels like this is just a slow, like, realization that this is going to come to an end. And I'm sitting there just pissed off one day, and this guy walks in. He had a big Nixon watch. He had a Mazda, and I was like, man, this guy looks like he's making money. So I was like, hey, brother, what do you do? And he was like, oh, I'm in real estate. I was like, damn, how much do people in real estate make? He's like, oh, we make like $50,000 to $60,000 a year. I was like, damn, that's pretty good. That's pretty good to have one job and make $60K a year. So I asked him. He referred me to a realtor school. I signed up. I didn't know what realtors did at the time, but I signed up. I showed up to class. The teacher at the time, I didn't know at this time also, but the school was actually a brokerage. So what they would do is try to recruit you right out of the school into their brokerage. And this guy, his name was Teddy, is a big, fat, old white guy. He was telling us a story about he made $100K his first year as a realtor. And I was just like so inspired by the fact that this guy made $100,000. I didn't even know that people could make it $100,000. I didn't even know that was even a thing. So I literally got up during his little speech during school, and I went out and I got a BMW because he was saying that you have to have like expensive stuff and you have to have this look. I swear to you, I got up midway of his conversation. I went to the dealership. I leased a brand new Mercedes. I've never had, or I'm sorry, a brand new BMW. I've never had a nice car in my whole life. I drove it back to the school and I was like, hey, Teddy, like, I got this car. I am ready to go. And luckily, I didn't end up working with him. I found another broker that was very like popular here in Vegas. His name is Craig Tan. He let me join his team. Another funny story, I heard about this guy named Craig Tan. I heard he was selling a bunch of houses, and I heard he had a bunch of good-looking women that worked for him. So I found him on Zillow, and I saw all the girls that worked on his team, and they were all like old ex-cocktail waitresses and stuff. I was like, I got to work for this guy. So I walked into his office, and I was just like, hey, Craig. He was just randomly walking by. I was like, hey, Craig, like, my name's Brian. I want to work for you. I don't know anything about real estate, but I just got my license. Can you hire me? And thank God he hired me. And that's kind of like what started my real estate career. I made six figures my first like 6 or 7 months in real estate. I ended up getting up to like $250,000 the next year, then $500,000. And then that's when I met Ryan Pineda on Facebook. And I just saw that he was making 7 figures. So then I had another mindset shift. I'm like, holy crap, like this guy's making $1 million a year in real estate. Like, that's crazy. I thought I was going to be killing it at 150 to 500. I thought was a lot. But then he started mentoring me, and that's what got me into flipping and wholesaling. And now I don't really do realtor transactions anymore. I just flip wholesale and then buy rentals.
But no, that's good. That was great. That was got a couple of stories, couple twists in there. You're a certified crazy person going on buying a BMW leasing, I'm sure.
Conversation.
I leased it. Yeah.
Before the presentation's over, I'll be back with this vehicle. It seems like something similar story to what we have gone through. A lot of people is the people you're around kind of set your expectation of what you think you can accomplish. And that's one of the reasons why we spend money and go to events, to be around people that can kind of shift our mindset and show some of the path. So you've done that. So now that you are, mindset's pretty open, you have a flipping business in California, a flipping and wholesaling business, if I'm not mistaken. And then in Vegas is where you do your rentals and your education stuff with Ryan. Is that right?
Yeah. So I buy rentals in Southern California too, but yeah. Okay. So now I'm based in Vegas. And then I flip and wholesale in California because I was living in California a lot of the time during this story when I started. So all my contractors and wholesalers and everyone is in Southern California.
Nice, man. So Ryan started mentoring you, and then you wanted to get into the investment world, not the agent side of things. So tell us about your very first investment deal that you did.
Yeah, so it's funny because probably like a lot of people listening to this, potentially, my first deal actually took me like 2 years. So I first started hearing about flipping houses because I was doing short sales and pre-foreclosures as a listing agent. And I was selling them to investors. And I would ask my investors, I'm like, hey, like, I'm selling you this short sale. Like, how much are you going to make on it? And they wouldn't tell me. They're like, oh, we're going to make some money, not as much as we used to. And I started getting that answer a lot from the investors. And then I was just like, hey, like, I finally told one of them, I was like, hey, like, if you don't tell me how much you're going to make, like, I'm not going to keep working with you. And he was like, oh, well, we're going to make like 60 grand. And I was like, 60 grand, dude. I just freaking worked a short sale for the last 8 months and I'm giving the seller relocation assistance on this $250,000 house. And I have to pay my broker 20%. And I just busted my ass and I'm going to make 5 and you're going to make 60. I was like, I'm doing the wrong thing. So then that's when the idea started. But then it took me like 2 years of like thinking about it to finally pulling the trigger and buying my first house after just being fed up and just like pissed off at myself for wasting so much time thinking about it.
Yeah, was your first deal a short sale?
So my first deal, I actually bought my very first deal from a wholesaler because I was just so tired of just like stuck in this analysis paralysis. I was just like, I don't understand what happens if the house burns down. Like, I don't understand. I got to figure that out first. I don't understand construction. I've never painted a house. I don't know if I do it this gray or white. I don't know the flooring. I don't know this. I don't know that. And finally, I was just like getting really upset at myself. And then this wholesaler sent me a deal. And I was just like, F it. I'm just going to buy it. Like, the numbers look decent. And I bought it with a tenant in place. I had no idea how the eviction laws worked in California. So that ended up being a big journey. But I think I just got to the point of just being tired of saying I'm going to do something and not. Talking to all my friends, talking to my wife, talking to my parents-in-law, saying I'm going to do something, and I just didn't do it. So I just went out and I actually bought like 2 houses like back to back because I was just like, F it. And I remember having the thought in my head, like, hey, I'm going to go bankrupt or I'm going to become rich. Either way is fine, but I don't care anymore. I'm tired of just being stuck in this, like, I'm thinking about it stage. I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with that before.
Oh, for sure, man. We talk a lot about, people wanting to have everything figured out before they get started. And it's a huge detriment to their journey because you can never have everything figured out before you get started. And I love that you just said F it and win for it, man. And even like the learning lesson and journey of that eviction process, the amount that you learned during that and how you handle every eviction now probably is just probably worth its weight in gold right there.
Yeah, so I've made millions of dollars working on evictions because that first eviction, when everyone didn't want to buy the house, I went ahead and bid and bought it. And then I had to like find an eviction company, learn the laws, speak to the tenant, and then go through that process. Like, I think I only made like 15 or 20K off that first deal. But because I did that, that made me millions because now I understand what to do when there's like an eviction process that needs to happen.
Nice, man. So you made 15, 20 grand on that first deal. You bought the second deal shortly after, and then you started to ramp that up, it sounds like. And eventually that income became more than your real estate agent income, and you kind of put that to the side, or how did that look?
Yeah, so probably, I don't know if there's like, if you guys get a lot of agents that listen to this, but for some reason, agents, like, they struggle with like the transition to becoming an investor. And you would think it would be an easy transition because they're already in real estate and they already know how to tell ARVs. They already know how to purchase properties because they've helped people do it. But that was another thing where I was just like, well, like, I could help this one buyer and it's just going to be a quick thing. But then that one buyer turns into a 2 or 3 month thing. And my income was kind of starting to become even where it's like, okay, 250K flipping wholesaling, 250K being a realtor. But the problem with being a realtor is you have to work on the weekends. You have to show houses on the weekends. You have to do the open houses. If the seller calls you at past 5, you got to take that call. You're negotiating. You're working with unreasonable people, trying to get them lowering down their list price and all that stuff. So like, I just really started to get burnt out. And then watching other wholesalers make 40K and I'm busting my ass for 6K, I was just like, this just doesn't make sense. So I actually just let my realtor business die because I just knew that I would make more if I gave real estate investing my 100% attention.
I like it. Learned a couple things. Sounds like you are willing to try something and you're okay with, either failing or succeeding, but you don't like being in the same spot. And I learned that Puerto Rican people are hairy. So we're learning a lot. So as far as your flipping business goes, this is how much research we do, Brian. On Real Estate Disruptors in 2021, you mentioned you like to make 40K net profit a flip. Is that kind of still what you shoot for, or do you go for higher now?
At this very moment in 2024, because 2021 was a long time ago, we have to aim more just because at this very moment right now, while this is filming, the real estate market is softening here in Las Vegas. It's softening in some areas in Southern California. So to go through a whole flip, we need to make like 50K. And that has to be like conservative just because there's some houses that we thought we were going to make 40K and we're making nothing. So we have to be more conservative with our numbers. But yeah, 40K or more is like typically what we try to make.
I don't know if it's softened a ton here.
Yeah,
a little. I think and we can talk about the market a little bit. Then I want to get into some wealthy way stuff. But yeah, I think, and you guys give me your thoughts on, this is kind of seasonal. Actually, the fall is usually not too bad here in St. Louis for like house sales, but I think everybody's predicting this rate drop, which is the Fed's funds rate. It's not even the 30-year mortgage, but regardless, people are predicting that in 2 weeks or less. So they're just waiting. And even though technically the loan would probably close after that, but I think people are kind of wait and see for rate drops, what they're going to do, wait and see the economy, and wait and see the election. So I think people that are like not confident in either up or down are just sitting on their butts, and that's obviously affecting house prices. What do you think? What do you guys think?
So typically I'm holding about 10 flips at a time. Like normally that's like the average. What I'm seeing is everything in Las Vegas is sitting.
Okay.
Like our days on market's going up, our inventory's going up, prices are coming down right now. I believe it's because of the election. Because I think right now the mortgage rates already are down. I think they're at their lowest point since like maybe last year or a year and a half ago. So interest rates are down right now. I think the election is affecting people. I think maybe the economy is affecting people, but definitely in Las Vegas, 110%, the real estate market has slowed down. But then it's interesting, my Southern California properties are selling no problem. So could be a Vegas thing, but that's what I'm seeing right now.
What do you think, Walls?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing some houses sit for sure. It's a weird time with kids going back to school, rate cuts in the future, and the election. It's just kind of a perfect storm, and just like all the inflation that we've had over the past couple of years is really catching up to people a lot, especially the people that we sell our houses to, right? So I think that's finally dwindled some savings and everything, and the people that don't have a house to trade in for another house right now are in the biggest hurt. So those first time home buyers are really struggling, and then the NAR settlement obviously doesn't help that case. So I think it's a lot of pieces to the puzzle here, and I can't wait for the election to get over. It's going to be over in a couple months, and then I think it'll go back to a little more normal.
Yeah. And later I do, before this wraps up, I do want to get your opinion on like affordable housing, because I know like with the election coming up, Kamala Harris is talking about building like 3 million affordable houses. So I do want to get your opinion on that later, but
yeah, we can jam on that a little bit. Let's get kind of the just general election thought and affordable housing and all of that, and then that does kind of lead into my next question about Wealthy Way and how that company's going and how the whole coaching business is going. But yeah, I think I've noticed it on both sides, that's all politicians are pretty gross in my opinion. I don't do much political stuff. I've seen your stuff, Brian. I know you talked, you had a Trump kind of reaction to him, just kind of talking more about, religious and faith. And then I don't know, I don't watch every post you do, but then I saw you did one with Kamala. I thought you were trying to not be like, trying to not be like, oh, I'm going all in one. You're like, she talked about faith too. He talked about faith too. So you're kind of doing they both talk about faith. And the point of the post was they're talking about faith, not their political agenda. So I know you do a little bit of that stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I know like the Republicans, their big issue and the big like hurdle they have is abortion. So Trump says he's willing to fund IVF to get them to shut up. And then Kamala is, saying this, and they just say things to get people to stop complaining. I don't know what they really can do. I can't imagine she can just shit out 3 million houses. I mean, everybody knows that inventory has been an issue for like 8 years. Biden knew it, Trump knew it, she knows it, and nobody's just crapped out houses. So the only thing I could see is interesting is the thought of giving like federal land to builders for free to build on. That would help lower the cost, but there's no way you can just make houses happen with labor, material, the time it takes to build. So I don't think that anybody can put a huge dent quickly in the supply of real estate. And I don't know that's a bad thing, because right now, supply being so low is, I think, the only reason why the market's pretty strong, because of all these other factors you guys just talked about. I feel like if supply was level or high, the market would crash. But the fact that supply is so low, we're not seeing a crash, we're just seeing a pullback. So that's kind of my roundabout thoughts.
Yeah, and crash. I feel like specifically you're talking about like price,
like a 10-15%
price
drop in like a year.
which
Yeah,
we have not seen here.
not
for
since 08,
sure.
yeah.
I would say, the transactions and volume and just people out there and activity is crashed, over the past couple of years. So, but prices have stayed strong because of
supply.
inventory.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, I don't know anything. What are your thoughts on all of the politicalness of, the, I guess, economy and real estate, Brian?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been doing a little bit more research on it, and I did post that Trump thing where he was talking about Jesus Christ, and it stood out to me because I've never heard a president come out and just talk about Jesus Christ. He was reading, and it's so funny that if you post something about Trump, people are like, "This guy supports Trump. He's this, he's that," and it's like, dude, it's about Jesus, and that's why I posted about Kamala. But I think it's funny when people get worked up about it. But I guess about specifically their real estate policies. So I know Kamala Harris wants to give like a $25,000 tax break or some sort of credit to first-time buyers, which I think is going to help. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's going to help, and I think Obama has done something like that before. So I think that's a good. She wants to build affordable housing. I don't know how that's possible. I've never seen that before, but I do think, especially in Southern California and even Las Vegas, it is very expensive. So even for myself making as much money as I do, like, it's expensive to buy a house. So I just don't understand how a normal family is going to go out and buy a house in a decent area. Because even the houses in, let's say, the worst neighborhoods in Southern California are selling between $400,000 and $500,000, and that's entry level. That's like you might not have AC. So it's just, I just don't understand how people are going to be able to afford houses.
To me, it's unless you have a current house and have bought one, pre-22.
So you had some equity to tap into.
Exactly.
And
that you can just keep trading up and do your thing. But to get into the game the first time is the most important thing and the hardest thing right now. And how do we make it more affordable, right? To me, it's the prices of housing. It's not going to come down to where it used to be.
And that's the way real estate works.
You know what I mean? So number one, it's financing. It's more houses available to help stabilize prices and get more opportunities for newer people. And that's the two biggest things to me. So I heard a lot of talk about some type of financing going to like a 40-year mortgage.
Yeah, that's
because it's all about the monthly payment.
That's where I was going.
All about the monthly
I don't
payment.
understand where this 30-year number comes from. I think I talked to a couple people in the space who are like, it came in the Great Depression. Like they decided 30 years, they stretch it out then to help. But it's not like depreciation of a house is 27 and a half years. It's not 30 years. It's a random number. I know it's not this simple, but why don't they just have 35 years be the standard mortgage? That would make a huge difference we've seen the difference in 25 and 30 years. So a 35 or 40-year mortgage, I would assume most people don't ever pay off their mortgage because they move within 30 years. So it doesn't really matter. So if they could have 40-year mortgage over 30-year mortgage, your payment's going to be, I bet, down 20-25% less monthly, doing the math that we've done. So that seems like a simple solution, but the fact that nobody's done it, there's got to be way more reason why, but I don't understand why, because real estate's not going to go down. It doesn't. And even during 08, even during the little dip we've had recently, it's going to go up. It's going to be worth double what it is now in 15 years for the most part. So and inflation is just going to add to that, the cost of replacement, the cost of labor and materials. So there's no way real estate prices aren't going to go down. And even giving 25 grand, to your point, Brian, I like that, but then it's going to make the prices go higher because there's going to be
things that we're talking
all
about.
those, that $500,000 house in California.
Better financing.
Yeah, but that $500,000 house in California that you're talking about with no AC, 4 people are going to bid on it now because they have 25 grand. So it's going to go for 550. You know what I mean? So it's going to be, I just don't see a solution besides the financing angle, which I was going to get to, but you beat me to it, Lucas. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that, Brian, as far as our thoughts on it's not going down, and it's probably not like that would be bad if it went down. Most people's wealth and equity and retirement and financial agility is in the equity in their house. If you make houses prices go down, you're going to kill the economy.
There are properties in Southern California that have like, I don't know if it's like called a deed restriction or a title restriction, where they sell lower than the average houses around them. And you're not actually allowed to buy them and then resell them for market value. They only go up like a certain percentage every year. But the problem is, like, when those, if let's just say the houses around there are worth 600 and this house comes out for 250, like there's hundreds of offers on it. So, that's not gonna fix anything. But I thought about if they, build more of those. But yeah, I think the financing option makes a lot more sense. But yeah, I don't know.
And like as Bull said, getting more houses out there is going to be a joint effort. Like, and I don't see it being a benefit to the government being 100% responsible for that.
You don't want government 100% responsible,
especially
for
housing.
Anything. Yeah.
But if they could figure out strategic partnerships with privately owned,
like Faster House,
or builders, whoever it is, and then provide incentives to them to keep building. I think that would be the way to go.
I think that would help for sure.
Yeah.
Either one of them that gets in is not going to be able to fix the housing supply issue. They've been working on it since, I think I read something like, I think everybody really realized it was an issue like in 2017 or 18 after not building from 08 and all the crazy stuff that people stopped building. They were like, oh crap, we're way behind right now.
The 8 ball since then.
Yep. For 7 years.
Yeah.
And multiple presidencies and multiple people in charge. So anyways, all right, moving a little bit on. I like that. Good. Great. Thanks for digging into that a little bit, Brian. Judging from like the economy and everything that we're seeing and the election coming up, I think a lot of people are just sitting pat. And we have noticed this in our education business. And I've been pretty transparent about it. We don't like beat on our chest, when things are struggling. We've seen a decline in signups and in interest in real estate. I know Bigger Pockets just got rid of, we had Rob Basolo on. The people aren't interested in real estate as much as they used to be. It's just not a topic that my posts about real estate do as well. I don't know anybody's that are doing better than they were a couple of years ago. So the general public interest in real estate has declined a little bit. And I think that's a lot of things. And a lot of it is the election, I think. So, we're still doing okay, but not like we were a couple of years ago. So what are your thoughts on kind of how that's affected people's discretionary income and therefore interest in real estate and coaching programs? And how has, obviously you don't get too detailed, but how has Wealthy Way been doing in the past, maybe 6 months compared to last year?
I'm not hearing about a lot of people just crushing it and making more money than they ever have in any sector of the economy. Where before, real estate was doing well, education was doing well, my lender friends were doing well, people were launching new businesses and crushing it. So I just think overall the economy is not doing as well as it was before. So I think that people don't have the money to invest in education and in real estate as much as they were before. So we've seen definitely a slowdown in the education. Definitely a slowdown in how many people want to do real estate. Like a lot of students that we've had over the years go out and get jobs and just do different things. So I wish I could say like, yeah, everyone's excited. They're coming in, they're crushing it, they're killing it. But I think that's just not the time and place for real estate right now. But for me, I'm not going to let that affect me because I understand that for me, this is a lifelong career. So when it's slow, you're just going to gain more experience, gain more market share, gain more relationships. And then once it picks back up again, then you capitalize on everything you've built during the slow time.
I think that's a really, really good way to put it. That's kind of how we look at it. Cause yeah, I mean, everybody I've talked to is down as far as their business, or not everybody, but pretty much everybody I've talked to, whether it's education or not, their businesses are not doing as well this year as last year. I think I've heard of a few outliers. So we talk about this a lot. I feel like, now is the time to build and to get ready to scale. Cause if our education company, Faster Freedom, the systems, the processes, the team, the support we have in place, if we had this in place 2 years ago, we would have made double the money. So I am excited for when things pick up again. And I really personally think this election is the number one driver of it, more than the economy. Maybe it's affecting that, but I get on social media and they're both scaring each other. If we don't get elected, then the economy is going to tank. If we don't get elected, illegal immigrants are going to take over the world. Like they're just making it like it's like if this side doesn't get elected, the United States is no longer a superpower and we're a third world country. So that's how fucking ridiculous the political system is and how the fear mongering is. And I think it's feeding people inside. Like I get it. Sometimes I'll see a video. I'm like, shit, that kind of makes me a little nervous. But then I take a deep breath, think about it. I'm like, that can't be true. But I'm not like perfect, but I feel like I'm pretty level headed. So many people like see that and they believe it. And then, so they're like, well, I'm not spending any money on anything yet. So I think things will break free the end of the year. And I think 2025 is at least going to start off as a banger for pretty much all industries, but I guess we'll see.
That's what I'm expecting. I think that once the election's over and people's minds are freed and there's no big decisions that need to happen, they're going to go back to business as usual. But right now, people are scared and they're confused and they're worried and they don't know if houses are going to go down, if they're going to go up. But even with me saying the real estate market is slowing down, we're still selling. So I don't want to get it confused. Like I think last week we made like $100,000 when we sold like a couple wholesales and a flip. Like we're still making money, but just the overall market is slowing down. But I've had to catch myself where in different parts of my career where I get into this like defensive mindset where I'm like, oh, we got to cut back. We got to stop spending on marketing so much. We got to like be careful. But at some point, you have to play offense and you have to mentally sometimes play offense instead of like thinking of like how to cut down and retract. It's like, okay, how do we actually make more money? What can we do to make more money? I will tell you, there's a lot of people making a ton of money on novations right now. I will tell you that my wholesales are making more than my flips right now. And there's other times where my flips are making more than my wholesales. So it's kind of like you just have to roll with the punches if you're taking real estate as a career, not as a hobby.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to go deeper, which Lucas knows nothing about. Boom, never been deep in his life. But we do that. I try to get that into every episode. Lucas doesn't know how to go deep. So we did it this episode. I'm doing good. All right, so let's shift into a game we like to play before we wrap this up. But before we even do that, like before we get to the end, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about where to find you and anything you want to plug or push?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to Wealthy Investor RE on YouTube. I interview the top investors in the whole country. We're actually the #1 podcast for flippers and wholesalers and real estate entrepreneurs. That's a statistical fact that you can find on Google. But besides that, yeah, Wealthy Investor RE or the Brian Davila on Instagram. But I want to ask you a question, Sam.
Go for it.
So you're a big social media guy, right?
Correct. I try to
be. When you see your stuff is doing less well, what keeps you going? And is there like other stuff you want to do on social media besides real estate?
Yeah. So it has its ebbs and flows and the algorithms are crazy. We were just joking. Like I went live on Instagram earlier today and there was like 19 to 30 people on, and I have 620 something thousand followers, and not one of them was bought or paid for, or like, you know what I mean? They're all actually organically grown, unlike a lot of things. And it's very, very frustrating when you post stuff and I feel like my content's better, but then it doesn't do as well. And I think part of that's what people are interested in. So I've tried to like venture into sports a little bit. I don't get too much into family. My wife doesn't like to be on videos or kind of be, seen and pictured and stuff. And pictures of the house. If somebody sees a sock on the floor and they comment, you have a dirty house, she like takes offense to it. So I can't go there too much, but I do like I would like to kind of get into other things. And I think I just need to get over my ego and do it and be okay with posting something that doesn't get views. But I just feel like I've worked so hard for it that it's like, if I don't want it to go to waste, right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
I've never had more followers, but our company's never really made much less money. We're still making money, but you know what I mean? It's not like directly correlated. So just because you have a ton of followers doesn't mean that you're going to make money. So I would like to maybe get into some other space. And I think I just have to be willing to let some videos not do as well and be okay with people commenting saying, oh, this guy's bought his followers or whatever. I just didn't. So I don't know. I just feel like so many people do. And getting into the space and knowing people that I know in, you know, mentorships and masterminds, like over half of people pay for a good chunk of their followers or listens or podcast views. And there's people I know right now that have their podcast ranked in the top 10 that I know for a fact have pay for views, because we had a company say, hey, we can pay for your views and you can pay us and you can rank on the charts and then, you know, everything will be good. And we said no, but they did like a free trial in the background and our views, you know, went up 10 times. And then as soon as we told them to stop, it went down. And I know the clients that they have. So anyways, it's a little bit more tainted of a space for me, because all these people that I kind of thought grew their organic following and, you know, have similar followings to me or maybe slightly less didn't. They just paid for it and it's fake and it's not real and it doesn't really matter. So long-winded answer to say it's frustrating and exciting and challenging and all the fun things at the same time. It's a nice scoreboard for me, but I would like to get in some other spaces and maybe not do as much social media, but I just like to work a lot. And if I'm sitting on the couch watching the show that my wife's watching, like I can watch that and not care if we're not having conversation, or I can be posting or commenting or trying to gain an edge. So that's my answers on it.
But do you think, because I think I told you I was considering, like, I was getting frustrated with the amount of return I was getting, because my Instagram, even though I bought fake followers years and years and years ago. So what happened was, this is like pandemic. This is like 2018, 2019. I paid for 20,000 followers. I was at 5 to 6. I went up to 20. It killed my Instagram. So I just stopped posting on it. And then I grew it organically, no paid, from like 15, because I lost so many followers, to 125, 130. But now it just feels like my page just like hits a ceiling. So then I started just making more Christian content, because I was just like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. Like, whatever. If Instagram's not going to reward, I'm just going to start posting, and like the Christian stuff does better. And I started a second YouTube page that I'm just posting random stuff on, but I'm going to make it like a Christian page. Just because I think, like, as a content creator, sometimes it feels like an art, and it feels like expressing things that I actually like care and love. So I am going to do that. But yeah, I was just wondering, you know, because I'm getting frustrated too when I post a reel that I had to go film, get edited, do all that stuff, and it gets less than 10,000 views. I'm just like, even sometimes I get randomly 1,500 views, and I'm just like, this is so frustrating that I don't even know if it's worth it. If I should, instead of the mental space that it's taking in my head, if I took all that mental space and my team and put that into buying businesses, would that be way more fruitful than me trying to do social media? Because I'm not trying to go as hard as on education as you are right now. So it's kind of like a weird spot.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that's interesting. And Lucas is just starting to post on social media, so he can give
I was like 1,500. That sounds good to me.
It's just
not when you have 100,000 followers.
It is challenging. I've gone through that because, like, the social media run that I had was completely organic. I've only been doing it for 3.5, 4 years, and almost 3.5 million followers between the platforms. And that it was just so fast, so real, so organic that 80% of our signups in our education program were organic. So it was like we were making a lot of money because of it. But then that you can only scale so much organically, right? Especially with what the algorithms do. And I got kicked off TikTok for 3 months for no reason because a competitor, spam reported my stuff. So anyways, it's you shouldn't have a business. I learned a lesson to not have my entire business rely on algorithms of social medias and whether they're going to push me or not. It's great to have that like, know, and trust, but learning to scale a business through ads and through not even needing organic following is something that I'm learning right now. So yeah, it's same thing, man. Super frustrating, but I think having eyeballs for what I want to do and what we want to do as we grow, whether it be start a fund, source deals nationally, all those kind of things, I think will be helpful. But what are your thoughts on social media, Lucas, now that you're in the game?
Yeah, I kind of look at it a little bit like rentals in a way. It's more of a long-term game, and yeah, maybe one's not going to change your life, but if you stay consistent with it and just be true to yourself, I think it's going to pay huge dividends in the long run. And I'm not even sure what those dividends are. Is the fun thing. I just think, like you said, more eyeballs give more opportunity, more credibility, all that stuff. So yeah, I'm it probably won't work, but I don't care that much is the good news. But I'm just going to go off on my heart. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I just want to say what I feel like I'm passionate about. And if it works, great. And people can relate to it, great. And if they don't, then oh well.
I think it's a good way to put it. Cause Brian, I was getting 20 to 30 million views a month organically, legit views on all platforms for like 3-4 months in a row there before things kind of tapered off, like maybe talking like end of last year, beginning of this year. And that's a shit ton of real views and everything was going good. But then like that, I haven't changed. I put as much effort into it and it's just the public doesn't care as much. So it went away and I grew a following really well, but not a brand. Like I have a lot more followers than Ryan. But Ryan's brand is way bigger. So it's not just about, you know what I mean? It's not just about following, right? It's also a brand and a following are different things. And I focus too much on following and not enough on branding. And that's what we're working on. So just figuring it out as we go. It's fun and frustrating all at the same time.
Yeah, I think for me, I was like you, where I was like posting a lot about following, and that's why the Christian and the other stuff is coming out more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I get way more hate posting my opinions on like Christianity than I expected. I thought like, oh, dude, the Christians are going to love me. They're going to back this up. No, it's like 10-1. I get 10 like, shut up and talk about real estate, or I'm unfollowing. Like literally, I could send you screenshots. I'm unfollowing because I want real estate. So I'm just like, man, like people are so funny. Even on my podcast, I'll get people. I always talk about faith at the end. So I leave it the first 45 minutes, tactical, useful, everything you need to start a business. At the end, I talk to the guest about their faith. I get people who are like, dude, stop talking about it. Dude, don't do that. And I'm just like, bro, I couldn't imagine walking into someone else's house and be like, hey, Sam, can you not talk about, I know you pay the mortgage here, but can you not talk about what you want to talk about on your platform? So I think it's funny, but I think for me, I'm starting to just say, F it. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. If it gets less views and I only get 1,000 views, but at least it's something that I actually want to talk about, because I don't always want to talk about real estate. I just don't. Like I've been doing this since 2016. And when I'm doing it, I'm like, I lived real estate for at least 5 years where I lived it. Like I ate, slept, breathed real estate. I can't do that for the rest of my life. I'm only 33 years old. So yeah, I want to get your opinion on what your thoughts are and feelings on, this content journey.
Yep.
And what about your guys' faith journey? Before we get to that, how's your faith journey going?
I don't post about it a ton. And we talked about it on your podcast. We talked about, I'm getting pretty involved in the church that I go to, both with my time and business knowledge. And, I pay for ads for there to fill their preschool up, my personal credit card, things like that. But I don't talk about it a ton just because it doesn't, I don't know if I'm comfortable enough to put that out there. And it's not because of the hate. I get hate all the time. If you really want to get hate, say that LeBron's better than Michael Jordan. You will get more hate than saying Jesus isn't real. And I'm not kidding you. I've got more unfollows from that post of saying LeBron's better than Michael than you do saying anything about Jesus and Christianity. So if you want to really get some hate, talk about LeBron being better than Michael.
That's so funny.
It's true.
I'll try it. I'll see how it goes.
It is wild. But yeah, so I don't do that a ton. I do it a little bit, but I don't feel comfortable doing it yet, but maybe I will.
Yeah.
But I do talk about it every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm on a mission to bring people back to church. So just so you know,
it's a bad thing.
I want people to go back to church. I think people think they could be spiritually healthy, not going to church and just kind of not reading the Bible and not praying. They're just like, I'm good, things are going good. I do believe people should go to church. I do believe people should pray. I do believe people should read the Bible. I do believe people should surround themselves with Christians. I believe they should surround their kids with Christian kids and their wives with Christian wives and their husbands with Christian husbands. So that's kind of like the message that I'm spreading right now.
I like it. We just got a ton of hate because you, but whatever. All good.
This
We'll
all
take
got cut out.
No, yeah, none of this is going to get aired. I'm kidding. This will be on there. You're good. I like it. All right, let's do a hard pivot left to get to over under.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
All right, there's 3 questions. We don't know the answers. Brian, you are going to play this with Lucas and I live on TV. All right, there are 250 zip codes in Los Angeles County, California. Over or under 250 zip codes?
250 zip codes?
Is that? Do you think there are more or over or under 250 zip codes in Los Angeles County?
I think less.
I'm going to say over, even though that's kind of your home territory.
I know. I'm going to go over too because
It might be over.
St. Louis is a lot, and LA is a lot bigger than St. Louis.
Gainer?
It is over. There are 295 zip codes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought there was like 5.
Yeah.
What's a zip code? Like 702 or what is this?
So yeah, I think you're thinking area code.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was thinking
Like
area
63385 or whatever those 5 numbers. Those are zip codes. So we do this. Lucas and I go live on Wednesdays together, just us two shooting the shit, and we have games like after the main segment's over, we talk about like true false, or I trick Lucas with riddles that I don't write. But anyways, over under is a fun one we play with guests. Lucas, you got this next one. This one's funny. You can't screw this one up, Brian. This next one's big. This one's all up your alley.
It is.
Okay.
Ryan Pineda has 465,000 followers on Instagram. Over or under 465,000 followers on Instagram.
I'm gonna say under.
I'm going under as well.
I'm gonna go with you guys.
I don't know. I used to like track like other people's followings. I really don't anymore. I know. I just know last time I saw it, it was in the low 4s, and nobody's growing right now. So I would assume under is why I'm saying that.
It is under. It is 421,000.
What a loser!
Okay.
What a loser! 421,000.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, that's still really good. All right, last one. September 6th, which is today, is Coffee Ice Cream Day. That's a fact. So the over-under is this holiday has been celebrated for 80 years. Over or under 80 years?
So like in the 60s? No, that would be 40s.
40s.
No way.
Did they have like? I feel like having days and like celebrating like National Dog Day or Sibling Day. That's all like pretty recent because
even
like they're trying to sell
Labor
shit.
Day
Yeah,
was past that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like not a real day. It's one of those like poodle days or whatever. Or
I'm gonna go under.
You're gonna go. You're saying less than 80 years. What do you think? What do you think, Brian?
I'm gonna say over.
I'm gonna say under.
It is over. It is 105 years.
Holy crap!
So since
so why are we celebrating today?
Yeah, where's the what are we celebrating?
I guess I had coffee, so I celebrated.
Yeah, you celebrated.
Yeah,
coffee. I did not.
Anybody have ice cream yet today?
I have not. Ryan, ice cream?
These are upstairs.
No, but I want to ask you guys over under question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, median house price in Southern California.
I think I know this.
I know.
Over or under 800,000?
San Diego is like high 8s, I believe. So I think for California, oh gosh,
I think it's like I think
it's under.
By the way, we have a 20% buffer, but I'm gonna say I think it's like 765.
Let's say under.
What would you guess? You said 765.
I would say because we have who's that guy Dean who invests in like outside of Fresno, and he's like there's $102,000 houses all over the place. I know it's not a huge town, but there's rural areas in California as well. So I'm going to say lower than that. I think it's more like 500,000.
Sam was like almost spot on. It's 785. He said 765.
Was right, but yeah, you were good.
Yeah,
I'm usually right. Lucas, you know me for 30 years now. How do you not know this?
And they probably is that what about average?
Average, that I don't know. The median is 785.
Average would be higher.
Average
would be higher because of the big boys.
Yeah, especially like Oakland and
Beverly Hills,
San Francisco. That probably drives it way up.
Okay, over under median house price in Las Vegas 450.
That's close.
Because St. Louis is what, like 300-ish?
Yeah, I'm gonna say over then.
I'm gonna say under.
It is exactly 428.
Okay,
428.
under.
There you go.
Nice.
I do research on the international stuff or national stuff for my I like it.
Very last question.
Okay.
Which state has the lowest average home prices?
I would say
It's like
Southeast without a big city. So like
probably Oklahoma or Mississippi.
I would say Mississippi.
Probably even over Alabama.
Well, what
right?
do you think about like North Dakota or Wyoming?
I think there's nicer town.
And like bigger ranches and more property. I'm gonna say Mississippi.
My answer is Mississippi. I'm going to do different ones, so we do different ones just in case. I'm going to say Alabama.
It's weird. I'm getting two different answers, but according to bankrate.com, it's Ohio.
I don't believe
I'm
that.
getting an average price of $228,000.
Ohio's got like Columbus and
they got
Toledo and
yeah, they do. It's a big state.
You need to do more research, Brian. Come prepared.
Okay, I'll do more research, but I looked 2 websites. I'm getting Ohio.
What was the other one?
Bankrate, and then another one is.
What was the other state? You said there's 2 states.
No, 2 websites saying Ohio.
Oh, wow.
What?
So we'll see.
I don't believe you. Cool. All right, Brian. Thank you, man, for coming on. Any last parting words you want to leave the people with?
No, just Sam. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you for coming on my podcast. And any way I can support you guys in Ohio, just hit me up.
Stop it. We're not in Ohio.
You're gonna be driving home today. Like, do I live in Ohio?
Yeah. I like it. Awesome, man. Well, appreciate you coming on, and I'll see you next time in Vegas. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button, comment with something you learned, and make sure to subscribe to this channel. We give away more free advice on how to create wealth based on things we actually do every single day than any other channel on YouTube. Make sure to share this with a friend because our mission is to inspire you to think differently about freedom.